This news update is brought to you by
Grab somebody and tell them hello. Your happiness will be connect to flow. Smile and cheer because that is we flow. Grab somebody and tell them hello. With your hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air. This is how we flow, yeah. Grab somebody and tell them this is how we flow.
It's Thursday, September 3rd, and time for the Barbados Today afternoon update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn.
How many more tries before we trot side road? Heavenly Father, won't you hear me, please? Send a helping hand for the country.
Remember what you do, will surely come back to you. So don't beat on a woman, or you will pay the price. She gets love, endures massive frustration, pain and suffering. A woman gives love.
The sounds from Heroes Square as Barbadians from all walks of life today paused to remember the victims of the Campus Trendz fire bombings and those of violent crimes. Today marks the 5th anniversary of the death of the 6 young ladies who perished on that unforgettable September evening. Our Ernesta Henry is on location and tells us more.
Families and friends, as well as other Barbadians, gathered in Hero Square, the city, to commemorate the 5th anniversary of the Campus Trendz tragedy, which sent chills throughout this nation back in 2010. At 12 o'clock sharp, the gathering observed a moment of silence where they reflected on the lives of those 6 young ladies. Founder of the September 3rd Foundation, David Commission, called on Barbadians to play their role in stamping out violence, which he says is as a result of North American influence. Family members carry placards and wore T-shirts bearing the beautiful faces of the 6 young ladies, and we can clearly say that they're still missing them dearly from the pain etched on their faces. Also, to mark the day, the family members will be heading to the 4 grave sites of the girls who were buried here. 2 were buried overseas, one in St. Vincent, Kalisha Olivier, and the other in Guyana, which is Pearl Cornelius. Reporting from Hero Square, Ernesta Henry, Barbados Today.
Thanks, Ernesta. Meantime, Prime Minister Frondell Stewart is urging residents to cooperate with law enforcement officials in order to arrest the crime situation facing the island. In a message to mark the Campus Trendz anniversary, the country's leader pointed out that citizens had been witnessing levels of violence which they are unaccustomed to. He made it clear that all Barbadians must play their part and support the work of the authorities to bring those responsible for what he described as cowardly acts and exhibit a blatant disregard for life to justice. Pastors at the Abundant Life Assembly are calling for positive role models for the youth to step forward. Commenting on the level of criminal activity involving young people in recent times, Pastor Kevin Hunt and Michael Holford made it clear that it was not all doom and gloom for the island's young people, but they say they are in need of positive influences in their lives.
We interact with young people and have been doing so for over 15 years now. And one of the things I think Pastor Holford would agree with me in saying is that all the young people need is somebody to follow. And that person that they're following must not be leading them in their own strength, but must be leading them towards Christ. And if they have positive mentors, positive role models, eventually they will make the right choices. But too often, people cry down the young people, bash them when they make mistakes, and no one is there to lend a hand to help them up. And that's where we're losing them.
Police are requesting the public's assistance in identifying the body of a man who was recovered from the shallow draft in Harbour Road, St. Michael. The man, who is said to be in his late 50s to early 60s, was found around 1:15 yesterday afternoon. He was unclothed at the time. According to Acting Police Public Relations Officer Station Sergeant Roland Cobbler, the man, who is dark in complexion, is slim build and is about 5 feet 6 inches tall. He has black and gray hair to the sides of his head, and the top of it is balding. He also has a white beard. Anyone who can assist in identifying this man is said to contact 211 or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477, the Central Police Station at 430-7676, or the nearest police station. Police are also trying to identify a lady in her mid-60s to early 70s who was found in an unconscious state in Hastings yesterday afternoon. The woman was discovered behind the Soko Hotel on Hastings Main Road, Christchurch. She is between 5 feet and 5 feet 7 inches tall, slim build and dark in complexion. She has white and grey dreadlocks and was wearing a red dress when she was found. Anyone with information pertaining to her identity is asked to contact 211 Crime Stoppers and the Hastings Police Station at 430-7608 or 430-7612. The head of the Barbados-based Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency says recovery and rescue efforts in Dominica are progressing. However, CDMA's Executive Director Ronald Jackson tells Barbados Today that 5 communities in the storm-damaged country remain inaccessible, but he's hoping that the arrival of a British Navy ship will change things around.
We've had a bit of a challenge with going into some of the communities, though on the ground most of the communities are now accessible, save and except 5, and we're hoping that the helicopter on board the British vessel will be able to assist us in continuing any relief drops that are required for those 5 communities. We now know that there are roughly over 200 plus persons in emergency shelters, and the shelter support for those individuals has commenced and will continue until we get into the recovery phase, which will then see the potential for some rehousing or transitional housing solutions provided for these individuals.
Jackson is also hoping that teams on the ground can change their focus to recovery and reconstruction in the coming days in order to get Roseau back on track.
We hope that we can begin to shift focus to the recovery and reconstruction phase at some point next week, maybe Monday or going into that week, so that we can begin to look at the priorities now for recovery and reconstruction. But things are progressing quite positively.
Meantime, 2 days of mourning began in Dominica today in remembrance of those who perished during the passage of Tropical Storm Erika, as well as those still missing.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Secure your future, be financially strong. Since 1983, we have been there for you. A smart range of products, great tax benefits. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. Humble beginnings to smart loans, smart savings. Save smart and borrow smarter. That's the move for me. Stability, prosperity. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union.
We pick up with news from our regional neighbors. Election observers are in Trinidad and Tobago getting ready to monitor Monday's general election. One of those groups is the Commonwealth Observer Team, which is already doing the groundwork ahead of the much-anticipated poll. More in this TV6 News report.
A microcosm of the Commonwealth, representatives from Africa, Asia, the Pacific and the Caribbean, all here as impartial gauges of the quality and fairness of the September 7th election.
Trinidad and Tobago has a track record of credible elections, and the Commonwealth is committed to continuing its support of the country's democratic process.
Further afield, hundreds of French farmers took to the streets of Paris with more than 1,300 tractors in the latest protest against collapsing incomes. The protesters blocked major arteries into the capital, but according to officials, the demonstration caused little disruption. Livestock and dairy farmers in particular have been badly hit by falling prices on world markets. And finally, Guatemalan President Otto Perez Molina resigns hours after being stripped of his immunity, and a judge issued a warrant for his arrest. Prosecutors accuse Perez Molina of masterminding a scheme to defraud the Customs Service of millions of dollars. He denies the allegations. Earlier this week, Congress took away his rights to immunity, a first in the Central American nation. Perez Molina's spokesman says he made the decision in order to confront the proceedings against him. And that's news, but for the very latest, log on to www.barbadostoday.bb, subscribe to our e-paper, our email updates, and you can like us on Facebook. You can also catch us on Izumi Media in bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, as well as Channel 101 on Flow TV and Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Frenella Wedderburn. Good afternoon.